We're live.
Hey, how are you doing? This is Bryan Kramer, and I am so excited to be back here for another H to H chat. What that means is that it's Monday at noon Pacific Standard Time. It's not necessarily noon anywhere else in the world, and we're going to prove that in just a second. Um, and so one of the things that I wanted to do, as you always know, I like to first and foremost, before we introduce our guest, I want to check in with Susie and see how everything's going with her. How's your week been actually since Thursday, since we had somebody on Thursday?
I know. It was crazy. I was just thinking about it. Like, it hasn't been a full week. My week has been good. I'm actually very excited to report that soon you won't see my closet in the background. I'm going to have an official home office. We just signed a new lease, so I'm
Oh,
very excited. I know. That's like the highlight right now. No more
oh,
like
that's
strange.
fantastic.
Yes, I know. You're very excited about this too, I'm sure. We don't have weird blanket stuff in the back. But yeah, it's good. Greetings from a very cold and wet and rainy Jersey. What you gonna do?
Well, it sounds like an East Coast day.
It
Um,
is.
we are so excited to be having also another guest on the show for another week of H to H chat. There's going to be a really fun topic here today because we're going to talk about Facebook advertising, which is a new topic for H to H chat, not necessarily a new topic for the world. And actually, I've been using Facebook advertising a lot in the last 2 months and have been having so much fun and success, but I don't nearly know enough or as much as I should. So I too am going to be leaning in on this one. I'm going to introduce here, Emeric, you know what? I should have asked you to pronounce your last name because I'm probably going to botch it, but I apologize ahead of time. Emeric Ernoult?
Ernoult is great. Yeah, it's the American way. If you want to say it the French way, then it's Ernoult, which is a little bit more difficult because of the R.
Ernoult.
Ernoult, yeah.
Awesome. I can do it. So, Emeric is the CEO and co-founder of Agorapulse. I have been playing with Agorapulse for the last, I think, week now, and I love it. I absolutely love it. So, enough said. We'll probably get to that in later in the chat. But Agorapulse is a Paris and San Francisco-based social media software launched in 2011. Emeric is in Paris right now, so that's what I mean by we are spanning the globe. We're going from here to New Jersey to Paris, all around. So Agorapulse is currently being used by more than 5,000 businesses across 180 countries. He has advised international brands like little ones that you've never heard of, like Virgin America or FIA or McDonald's or Microsoft or Volkswagen, things again that you haven't heard of. He's a member of the board of the Social Media Club in Paris, France, and is a regular speaker at Facebook marketing conferences such as All Facebook Marketing Conference, Facebook Success, and a few others. Today we are going to be talking about how to approach Facebook advertising. We're officially entered into the era of the algorithm within social media marketing. So gone are the days of the organic reach. Can we all have a moment of silence?
Very
Same.
sad.
Yeah, very sad. So the debate is no longer whether to invest in paid, rather it's how much and when. It's more critical than ever to have a solid strategy when it comes to your social media spend, which is why we're bringing you Emeric. So here we are, Emeric. First and foremost, thank you so much for being here with us today. How are you doing at 9 p.m. Paris, France time?
I'm in the middle of my dinner. I'm doing great. It's 9 p.m. It's dinner time.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you doing this with us. Let's just start with a softball, and we're gonna get into like the real fun stuff here in a second. But we talked about the algorithm, the age of the algorithm, and let's just talk about that for a second. How Facebook obviously is an algorithm. How your tool itself actually helps people to publish. Much like that of its competitors that I'm sure we're all aware of, it helps you to publish content. But that's not enough. Why?
You mean about what the tool does? It listening, engaging, measuring all the usual suspects on social media management. So it's our closest competitors. For those of you who know some of the tools out there are Sprout Social and Hootsuite. So it kind of puts us in the ecosystem in a way. So yeah, publishing it is one side. One thing I wanted to highlight is I am not quote unquote Facebook ad expert. But I've learned Facebook ads by practicing for the last 4 years and spending. I think overall I've spent $350,000. So it's not huge budget for big brands from a big brand's perspective, but for a small medium business, it's a decent enough budget to learn, especially if you don't want to waste those 350K. So that's what I've learned. That's how I've learned it, and that's what I wanted to share with you today, as much as I could, obviously in 1 hour.
And I only know this because we talked a week ago. It has worked for you because you have how many? If you don't mind sharing this number, if you don't, no problem. But how many subscribers do you have? Email subscribers due to everything that you've done?
We have more than 200,000. The thing is, I have to clean I'm cleaning my database from time to time, just to have not to pay the chunk over 200K. So every month I got a message from my guy who handles messages. Say, Emeric, we have to delete people. We're getting close to the 200K. So that's free trials we got on the tool. That's leads that we have on our free tools. We have 2 free tools, and we're about to launch a third one. That's a big lead gen stuff for us. And overall, it grows by approximately 8 to 10K a month.
So that right there makes you an expert, and so that's why I have to make sure that everybody is aware. I mean, nobody's really ever an expert. They don't feel like an expert at the end of the day, and so I feel your need to say that. But I want to make sure everybody understands he has spent $250,000. So that's more than most businesses spend in several years, including mine. And you have a 200,000 person list, and it's only 200,000 people because you keep pairing it back, which is the accurate thing to do, right? Because you want to pair your list back to the people that are really going to engage and actually, be on your list for health reasons. So my question to you then is, how do you what are you doing now? What are you doing now that you didn't do back then? What mistakes did you make? What can you teach us about how to start doing Facebook advertising?
So when you start saying what mistakes did you do and you're not doing today, the list is so long that we'll have to
give us 3. Yeah. Give us 3.
But no, but then I understood it was on the Facebook ad side of it, which is it's less mistakes. It's fewer mistakes.
Gotcha.
Thank God. So the first mistake I've made, and I fixed, but it's very time consuming to fix, but I think it's really necessary, is, as you know, and we may talk more about this, but one of the best options to use Facebook ads, as well as AdWords is to retarget your existing traffic. Instead of targeting cold people who've never heard of you, you're retargeting people who have at least heard of you once because they landed on your website at some point. And when I started to retarget our traffic, so we have close to 300,000 unique visitors per month, which is, again, not huge, but decent enough to retarget, to do a good.
Sorry, close to how many?
300K a month, unique visitors.
Got it.
So when you have that.
Yeah, sorry, is the 300K, is that driven by ads?
No, it's overall. It's driven by all the channels we're using, and organic pretty much being the big one. I mean, driving 300K unique visitors with ads would cost you 150K a month or something, minimum. So it's thank God I rely on Google very much, and referrals and branding awareness and all that typical acquisition channels. So retargeting is and I may share with you a couple of screenshots of the numbers of the cost per client, cost per lead and cost per client we get, depending on if we target cold people, warm people, hot people, visitors on the site. And what I did at the beginning is retarget every visitor to the site with the same ad, with the exact same visual, the exact same copy, and the exact same everything, which may look sort of good, like you get a certain cost per lead and a certain cost per client, and it seems, oh, that's okay, we got, it's decent if you don't dig. But when you start going a little bit further and start retargeting specific pages or group of pages, to be precise, with a more specific message and a more specific copy. Let me give you an example. We created a group of blog posts that are about Instagram on our blog, and we group them all, and it's overall like 35K a month. And we created an ad retargeting those people who visited those specific blog posts talking about Instagram, and he said, "Hey, looking to manage, need to manage multiple Instagram accounts, blah 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 blah. Give us a try." We directed that traffic to a landing page that was, Instagram management, blah blah blah, all about Instagram, and we cut the lead cost by like 50%. So what used to cost us $10 now cost us $5 because instead of retargeting all the traffic with the same message, we define subset of our traffic that are actually coming to us for a specific need or on a specific topic, and we create an ad and a landing page that caters to that traffic and those interests. So that's the first mistake. Well, it's
Sorry, before we move to the next one,
yeah.
I just want to make sure that I understand. Your retargeting is based upon an interest specific to an offering, like Instagram versus Twitter or something else, and you're then redirecting an ad to them based upon that interest that then takes them to a specific landing page on that topic, which then converts at a half the cost of what it was converting before.
Yes.
And so my question is, how does advertising, how does Facebook ads categorize what they're coming to you for, and so that you know it's Instagram versus Twitter?
How does Instagram compare to Twitter?
No, how do you know to segment them into a Twitter-based ad versus Instagram-based ad?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hey.
I can't hear you. I'm getting a very.
Yeah, we're getting some strong feedback.
Oh, okay. That was not me. I was afraid it was only me, so I wouldn't dare to say anything. I was trying to understand it anyway.
That's all right. Let's see if is this so bad?
Yeah, you sound like a robot or something. It's like very metallic voice.
Let's see if we can mute Susie. I'm going to mute you real quick just to do a check and see if that goes away. May or may not.
Yeah, it went away.
Okay, so we'll unmute me and then mute Susie back on the second half of the show. So that may help. So my question is let's see, we had some tweets about interference. Hopefully that clears everything up for you guys. So so my question is, how do you segment by interest? So, for instance, if they come to your site and how do you know they like Instagram and then you retarget them Instagram?
Blog post. It's basically we write a lot of content. We're very heavy on content. Content marketing is our #1 marketing spend, and so we get traffic and we get eyeballs and we get people interested by the content we write. But obviously, if you're a social media management software, you write content about any type of social media need, or any type of social network, and paid and not paid and organic, and Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and Facebook ads and all that stuff. And you end up, after 4 years of writing content, you end up with a ton of evergreen content, which gets a ton of SEO organic traffic, and not grouping those by topic and not making sure that you can organize them to retarget them because they are all related to the same need. Was my mistake in the beginning. I was retargeting all of those. Like, you were coming to me for Instagram marketing purposes or Twitter or Facebook, I would send you the exact same ad leading you to my landing page, which was not Twitter specific or Instagram specific. So the message, it went okay, but again, it was half what I could have done with the micro retargeting, I call it.
What is a DALEK? D-A-L-E-K? Is that an Irish term?
D-A-L-E-K, Dalek? No idea.
One of these.
A robot. Okay. Ralph just said I sounded like a Dalek, and I thought maybe that was a European term.
No.
All right. Hopefully I'm not a Dalek anymore.
In a very freaky voice.
Even Courtney just ducked in and said, "You sound like a robot." So that was brought to you by iRobot, and they wanted to thank you for your contribution. They clean floors, they do all kinds of stuff. Brought to you by iRobot. No, I'm kidding. They didn't, but I thought that would be fun. So Emeric, I'm curious now. If you don't mind, because this is really important. I think if we could work through this, and then before we move on to the next one, one more question is, how do you then, once you retarget them an ad, where the ad actually retargets them to a page that directly sells them to or puts them into a trial? Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. So because they were visitors of my blog, for me they're warm. They're not cold anymore. And to be honest, I don't have enough money and resources to warm them up even more. So I wanna get what I can get right on that landing page.
So you're going in for the, you're going to ask them to sleep together right away.
Right away.
Right away. Okay.
First date.
Although it is a beta trial, so maybe it's just staying
They
up
can
for a glass
they
of
can
wine.
sneak out of the bed anytime they want, but
Because it is a trial.
but
Okay, so let's move to your second one. That all makes sense to me. I think we'll collect some questions from everyone if they had more questions on that one. But let's move to your second challenge or the second thing that you learned.
okay, that one I learned very early on, but it's still something I see too many people, especially in the early days, do, is when you track your results by cost per click, cost per action, cost per subscription, whatever it is that you want to get. And when you track your ads and your ad campaigns, always track the entire funnel. Don't stop at the top of the funnel. Don't only look at the CTR. Oh my God, I got a great CTR. Or don't look at the cost per click. Oh my God, the cost per click is so low. Really go till the end, until the conversion into a lead, and then the conversion into a paid client, and to eventually, if you can do that, the amount of money you got. Don't just look at the top, because when you look at the top, you get fooled every day, every time, really every time. I see campaigns that have an incredible CTR and a very bad conversion rate into lead, or no clients at all in the end. I see campaigns that have a very cheap leads and no clients and no money. So it's, if you don't track the entire funnel, you will get false positive or false negative all over the place. So that's my second one. And I see them every day. Even yesterday, I saw a false positive on a visual I thought was great, and actually it was not. And I can share my screen with you on that later. It was a funny one. So that was the second one.
Okay. All right. That one makes sense. That makes perfect sense.
But trust me, when I started, I got excited by CTR and CPC. Period. That's really true. Like 4 years ago. The third one is assuming that what worked in a campaign for a specific country or a specific targeting will work with another campaign that's similar. So the best example is like assuming what works in Mexico will work in Argentina. So my business is in French, Spanish, Portuguese, and English. So I target a lot of different countries in a lot of different languages. And one thing I've realized in Mexico and Argentina are totally different, but really totally different. And the US and Canada are sometimes very different as well. And it's weird that countries that you would expect would behave quite the same don't behave the same at all. And that's especially true when you use interest targeting, because for some reason, most of these interest targeting are created by Facebook. They are not based on just the fan page and stuff like that. They are aggregated by Facebook. And in some countries, the aggregation worked well, so the interest is actually real. I mean, it corresponds to a reality that you would expect from that interest. And for some country, it's fully messed up. I mean, the interest apparently is very poor, very low quality, and that is a country-by-country thing you have to test.
Yeah, so global marketing is for sure one of the biggest challenges for anyone out there understanding how it's going to run. And so actually, let's take a quick step back. Now, how many campaigns is healthy to have running at one time, and then how many segments is healthy? Because now you're running several different campaigns. You're also running A/B testing or segments within, like what you're talking about with countries. When is it too much?
Well, the number of campaigns you can have running, it depends on your budget and your resources and the time you have to manage them. There's really no limit to the number of campaigns. I mean, the only limit is the campaigns per target. You you should only run one campaign to one target. If you run two different campaigns with two different offerings on the same target, they're going to compete with each other, and you're going to go against yourself all the time. So you're going to raise your own prices, which is not good. When it comes to ad sets, it's the same thing basically. Ad set or more what campaigns used to be before. If you talk about ad creative, so like the actual ad with the visual and the text within an ad set, it's recommended not to have more than like 20 in a campaign. I mean, personally, I never have more than 4 or 5 in any ad set. But I use a tool that does the A/B test and split that into ad sets automatically, so I don't have to worry about this. I don't
Which
do it.
tool is that?
I use Ad Espresso, A-D Espresso, E-S-P-R-E-S-S-O. I love it. I love it because it makes my life so much simpler. Saves me a ton of time. And the founder is an Italian guy, so he's European like me, like that was a nationality, and he lives in San Francisco, and he's a great guy. I love him. He's a very good guy.
And he believes in coffee, obviously, which is.
Oh yeah, I believe like every Italian.
Yeah, which is something the United States sucks at, clearly.
I didn't say anything.
That could be a whole nother show. I'll say it. I'll say it. I've been to Europe a bunch, and man, our coffee sucks compared to there. So what happens when you're looking at the different? Well, actually, let me come back to one thing quickly before we move to your to metrics. When you look at bidding versus automating your bid versus manual bid, what is your theory on that?
I always trust Facebook. I'll leave everything automatic. I've never had bad surprises with that. And actually, every time they say, oh, the median bid would be like 50 cents per click, I let the thing go automatic, and I pay 30 cents per click, or 25, or even lower. The way they optimize things, if your ad is good, if your target is well defined, and your ad resonates with them, and you get good results on the from a Facebook perspective, they'll give you a good price. So.
Yeah. Okay. That makes me feel better about my ads now. So let's talk about the metrics. And you talked about pipeline too. So how do you measure your pipeline? What do you use, a tool? Is it manual? And then what metrics are you most interested in?
So it's a broad question on the metrics. So basically, I do two types of ad. I do ads that are here to get warm into hot, into paid. So like, get the ones that I already have in my audience and around me to convert them faster. For those, I look at if they are not clients, if they are not free trials yet, I look at the free trial cost. Mostly, and if they are clients, then if they are free trials, I look at the cost per conversion into a paid clients. The cost I look at for a lead on my end is if I get $5, I'm happy for a free trial for a lead. In some countries, it's impossible for me to get $5. Like in the US, it is impossible. If I'm like super good and my target is like awesome, I'll get $10. In South America, in some Asian countries, in Eastern Europe, in some European countries, I can get 5, 6. In India, I can get 2, but I get no clients. So that's when I said, don't get excited by the CPA, by anything which doesn't go until the end of the funnel, because I get leads and free trials for between $1 and $2 in India, but I get no business, no clients, no conversion. Where in the US, I pay the free trial much more expensive, much more money, between 10 and 20, but the conversion into actual money is much better. For a paid client, if I pay anything below $50, I'm good. If I pay anywhere around $100, I'm good, because I usually have a positive ROI in the first 45 days at $100 acquisition cost. I can go up to 250, 300, but I usually don't go after that. If I see my cost per clients going above $300, I start feeling uncomfortable. It's not backed by any data. It's just the way I feel about paying for customers.
So Okay, so and on the funnel part, how are you tracking the funnel through? Do you have a tool that you use,
Oh,
or
but everything until the revenue, I track at Espresso. I use at Espresso, which again
oh,
is like makes the funnel looks like it's a kid toy. It's anybody could use that and look at their funnel in 2 seconds and see how the campaign is going. What Seeing the health of your campaigns is really a split second. Where on Facebook, for me, it's a nightmare. It's a headache. I can't read Facebook ad or Power Editor, even worse. Now, but I'm not a pro. I'm a business owner, so I'm doing this on the side, couple of hours per week and day, not full-time job. Then when it comes to revenue generated, what we have is we use a software tracking our recurring revenue called ChartMogul, and we've plugged in a lot of tracking tags that allow us to track the revenue source in our monthly recurring revenue, lifetime value, all those SaaS metrics that we use to gauge the health of our business. Now we have the source of each of them, so we can see, oh, Facebook generated that amount of MR, lifetime value, monthly cash from Facebook, from Twitter, from whatever.
sorry, and what do you use for that?
ChartMogul. So ChartMogul.
Arts Mobile.
Yeah, I
Got
can
it.
I can I can say enough good things about them if you are running a recurring business model.
Wow, that's great. So, okay, so uh, let me also take a quick second to let everybody know out there that we're going to be taking questions in about 5 minutes. So now's your chance to use the hashtag H2HChat and direct your questions. The questions could be anything on Facebook advertising, funnel marketing. How obviously he has a product he's selling, but this applies to services as well. So definitely pose your questions here and let us know what you're thinking or what questions you have, so that Susie can then ask him what those are. We're getting some questions in, but definitely want to welcome more. And also let us know if there's anything else that you would like us to make sure we address. Okay, so before we do pass the baton over, I wanted to make sure that we have enough time for you to show the screens that you wanted to show. So do you want to go ahead and do that?
Yeah, I will. One last mistake in 5 seconds. Not being careful about the placement. I see way too many ads going on the mobile that are not optimized for the mobile. So you're on your iPhone, you see that ad, you say, oh great, you click on it, and then you get to a website that's not mobile optimized. The experience is not mobile optimized, and you've just wasted a lead or client or whatever. So if where the client is the user is being taken to is not done for mobile, please don't use the mobile targeting when you create your ad. This is so common, and even big brands, or I mean most established brands, not beginners, are making that mistake all the time. Yeah, so the screen I wanted to share with you is actually a story. I'm going to make it short because it's a long story, but I started a big campaign targeting South America like 18 months ago, and I created everything and put everything in place just 2 days before I went for vacation. By the way, it was a kite surfing vacation. That's my thing. If anyone's interested into kite surfing, let me know. And I went to Greece for the summer, and my campaign had been started for 24 hours. It was all good, and then I left for 2 weeks. And when I got back, Facebook had killed all the conversion ads from my campaign, and I'd left all the free tools, content, blog, all the stuff that's here to warm people up, but not necessarily good at converting them. And I got depressed. I said, oh gosh, I've wasted $2,000 during my vacation because Facebook killed what was supposed to convert people in my campaign and let everything that was free and informational running. And so I basically from that day I didn't do any Facebook ads for like 4 months, 5 months. I was so depressed. And when I got back from vacation, I'm going to share my screen with you now. So here it is. Let me know if you see it. So when I got back from vacation, you see the screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The header and footer are in French, so don't worry. Just watch it. Look at the screenshot. So that campaign was run in August, and actually, when we got Chart Mogul, that's from Chart Mogul that I'm taking that screen. I realized that that campaign, for the countries, that campaign was targeting South America, as you can see on the top left corner. I had actually gained like almost, yeah, 1,000 euro of monthly recurring for just because of that campaign. And actually, the thing is, when I looked at the conversion pixel on Facebook, what I had actually gained was very, very small. So when I was able to see the actual impact on my bottom line without just relying on the Facebook pixel, I realized that I had actually spent $2,000, but I had gained $1,000 of MRR, which basically means in 2 months your campaign is paid back. So and it was with ads that were not very good at converting. So because I like to try things twice before I convince myself of something, I did it again in January. Actually, I started a second ad campaign targeting the same region with different messages, but this time my ads were better. I had conversion ads and stuff. And you can see that 4 months after, I think I spent 3,000 during that campaign. And 4 months after, I had grown my monthly recurring from 3,300 until 6,200, so almost 3,000 euro
Wow.
of monthly recurring. And again, when I looked at my pixel conversion, it didn't look very good. It didn't look very big. So it gave the impression that 3,000 euro for like X clients doesn't look good. What I think I've learned here is Facebook ads actually also have an awareness impact that you can't measure with a pixel, especially when they're done, at scale. And $3,000 in South America gives you a lot of reach and a lot of impressions because it's a much cheaper market to advertise to. And there is like a guy see the ads in the office and say, "Hey, buddy," talks to the guy to the guy next door. It's, "Hey, you should check this out." And the guy next door start a trial and subscribe and whatever. With a pixel, you're only tracking, the tip of the iceberg. You're not tracking all the chatter and everything else that goes around the direct conversion from that ad. So that's what that taught me. So I wanted to share that. I wanted to share that with you.
Wow, that's interesting. That's fascinating. I could sit here and ask you a couple more questions actually that relates to a lot of different things. I've got a campaign running right now that actually is driving a quiz into a landing page that gives people the answer to their brand type, their personal brand type. And I'll say this one thing before I pass this over to Susie. I learned something really interesting. I was driving ads to the landing page directly to the quiz, and I was paying roughly $1 between $1 and $1.50, and I think I learned this at Icon 16 at Infusionsoft's thing. I was listening to somebody, and somebody said, "Oh, it was Ryan Dice," and they said try just redirecting it to the blog post rather than to the directly to the quiz page, and on the blog post page it had the the information about the personality types, but then it said take the quiz here, so it's still one extra step. What was interesting is that I went back to my hotel room and I switched the URL from the quiz page to the blog post, and my literally overnight my conversions doubled, and my cost per click went from $1 down to 43 cents, and now it's down to 37 cents, just simply by redirecting it to content as opposed to a sale. And what I learned from that is that Facebook is rewarding content advertising versus sales advertising, and that was not only powerful, but it also saved me a lot of money.
Yeah, I had the exact same experience on many other campaigns as well. When you have the right calls to action in the blog post, advertising for the content of the blog post usually does better than the landing page. I don't know if it's Facebook that's rewarding us or if it's the user and the audience that prefer to have a first contact with something that looks like information rather than sales. But it does, yeah, it does have an impact. And what the learning here is test, test, test. If you're not sure about your landing page, test another landing page. If you're wondering if a blog post would do better, do a blog post and test it against the landing page. Keep trying those little things. It may not be worth it for a one-shot campaign, like for the quiz. If the quiz is going to be targeting 10,000 people one shot and then you're done and you move on to the next thing, maybe it's a lot of hassle and burden for a one-time campaign. But if it's something evergreen, you're going to keep running on your traffic, for example, do tests everything, of course.
So couldn't agree more, and I'm the worst tester because I don't have time to do it, which is the worst thing to say. For us, we do it for our clients, obviously, but for, we're the cobbler's kids. It's hard for us to, do that for us. But I do think one thing I wanted to add into that is when I was at South by Southwest, I literally bumped into the head of advertising for Facebook, like literally almost like knocked her over, and we and I introduced myself, and obviously we started talking, and I told her this, and she said that native advertising is a thing with Mark Zuckerberg. He wants Facebook to be a natural content driver, and he's trying to move sales pushes down the pipeline and natural content, anything that you're advertising, up. And so I think there is something there that Facebook is trying to do based upon my accidentally almost knocking this nice lady over. So that said, I want to and I did get her business card, so now I'm excited to talk to her more. So okay, so I want to pass the baton over to Susie. Susie, you have so many topics to cover here with all these different questions I see coming in. I'm going to pass this over to you, and I'll be here. I'm going to unmute me and mute you so that we don't face the same robotic thing that we're going through.
Rise of the Daleks. It's a very true thing. I have to say we're completely geeking out. There's a whole sub-Whovian conversation going out, and we've now moved into the Star Trek area of tribbles, and I'm completely digging this. So shout out to all my fellow geeks. Moving on to our very important topic today, though, of Facebook advertising. This is absolutely fantastic. We're getting tons and tons of really very engaged members of our community here. So I want to go ahead, and we're going to do some rapid fire questions here so we can try and get through all of them. Does that sound good?
It does.
All right, let's do this. So first off, I want to give a shout out to my good friend Lisa, coming at us from London this evening for her. Very close to you. She says, how do you handle Facebook algorithm changes that flip up your strategy?
As far as I'm concerned, Facebook algorithm changes are mostly impacting the newsfeed, not necessarily the ads environment, mostly the organic environment. On the organic side of things, I basically give up on having anything shown organically to my fans. Keep in mind that my fans are the fans of a B2B software that has nothing sexy to sell. Other than we have a couple of fans and some people who really love what we do, but we're a B2B software, so what should we expect, right? If you're selling shiny Italian motorbikes, maybe you'll have a lot of engagement, likes, shares, and stuff, but for us, no. And not most, but a lot of businesses are in the same shoes we are in. So organic, gone. On the ads side of things, I don't feel like I'm struggling with algorithm changes. It feels pretty consistent.
Okay, that's interesting. So you're not so really what you're seeing is, we shouldn't freak out if we're doing paid advertising.
No.
When there's that. So this actually leads into a question I had. So we began by saying, let's have a moment of silence for organic reach. Now I'm hearing you say that maybe there's still some hope here for organic reach, depending on your audience or what you're selling.
Absolutely. I mean, we have a free tool called the Facebook Page Barometer. If you go on our website and go to the free tools, you'll find it. And it's been running for 4 years now. And when you look at because I've been looking at it for 4 years, when I look at the average reach for pages, depending on their size, it has not gone down very much. It has remained pretty steady. But in that in that sample, a lot of pages have gone down very bad, like mine, for example. To be totally honest and transparent, mine is not doing good anymore. But some others have gone up and do incredibly well. And the thing is, it's like with everything in life and in business, the one that are the most makes the most noise are the unhappy ones. So you hear a lot about the ones that are unhappy. Right. You don't hear a lot about the ones that are getting incredible engagement and reach on their own page. And just to give you one example, because I have an Italian motorbike, that's why I get this example. It's called an MV Agusta Brutale for the ones who are driving motorbikes and who know what I'm talking about. Very high end, very very fast, very powerful, like 300 horsepower, like it's a beast. And we are all passionate about our bikes, and that brand gets like it's incredible the kind of engagement they get on anything they post. I mean anything. And I created a page for that brand for that make, the make I have, just for fun. Yeah. I gathered 20,000 fans for I think no more than $100. $100 for 20K fans, and every time I post something in there, it goes wild, totally wild. And I post things like once every 6 months because it's just a fun thing I did on the side. It's not a real business for me. Right. So yes, there are pages, and like in the nonprofit industry, some of them, when they touch people and it touches lives, and people get have feelings about what's going on and can relate to that. Yes, they will get very high engagement. So I'm not going to give you a ton of examples, but you can think about the brands you love and how you would love to share their stuff and comment and stuff, and the other ones you won't necessarily share or comment their stuff.
Right. Interesting. So I have a good question here from Ralph. Hey, Ralph, thank you for beginning our conversation about Daleks online. We do appreciate that. So he wants to know, what is your actual target or actual demographic on Facebook?
Mine, for my own business?
Yes.
So for my own business, the #1 targeting is a lookalike on my clients. It's a lookalike audience on people who have already demonstrated that they liked what we are doing. If I have a very huge audience with that, what I tend to do is to add interest. So I do the lookalike 1% plus I cross interest with that. So my interests usually are Facebook for business, social media marketing, online marketing, ads, Facebook Ads Manager, Facebook Power Editor. So I will cross all these interests, and if all of these interests are big enough, I will A/B test each of them. Because every time I do that, I find different results depending on the country I'm targeting. So sometimes Facebook for business works very well, and in some countries it doesn't work very well. So I always pay attention to A/B test things. Like the first $200-300 I A/B test, and then once I've spent enough, I shut down everything that's not doing good. I hope that answers Ralph's question.
I think so, absolutely. So I have a question from both Terry and JS. Thanks to both of you, awesome members of our community. I so appreciate seeing your faces every week. They're specifically regarding your Agorapulse. They say there's a solo category in there for solo entrepreneurs, and they're curious how you see this working, where you see that fitting into the entrepreneur, small business space.
Yeah, actually, I'm currently thinking about killing the 29 plan, which is our entry plan, where there is only one account. So #1, I think it's not providing enough value. We kept it at the last pricing change to be able, like a marketing stupid thing, like, yeah, we start at 29, but then you look at 29 and there's not enough in there. What I'm thinking about is starting at 49, but giving more social profiles and giving more value at 49, because I think right now there's not enough in that, even in that 49 plan. The 99 plan is the plan that's really the most popular. It's growing like this, where the other one are basically flat, the small ones. For a solo business, using a social media management tool, I mean, the problem is not the tool or the cost of the tool if you're a solo business. The problem is really where you allocate your time and what your priorities are. If you have to be on social and you have a solo business, then go on social. But if you don't have to be on social, if I was advising someone who is starting a solo business, I would probably tell them, don't go on social right now. Do the website right, do the product right. please, product first, or service, or whatever it is. Define what you're doing and sell this. And if it's service, then the website will be key. Get the right testimonials, do the right videos. I mean, build your own product to a stage where it's good enough before you start going around and say, hey, tweet, tweet, tweet. Because if you tweet, 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 and what's being sold behind the tweets is not ready, is not mature, is not convincing, then you're wasting your time on Twitter and Facebook and anything else. So that's probably what I would say, and I would probably also tell them that Facebook ads would be the first thing I would try. So which requires a Facebook page if you want to go in the newsfeed, but not if you're only going on the left column, on the right column. But yeah, I mean the cost of our tool. It saves a lot of time when you have to reply to people on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and also publish content. But everybody knows Hootsuite, $9 a month. You can go have up to 50 profiles and a Maserati in your garage for $10. The thing is, a lot of people who are in the solo business, the money is the first thing that comes to their mind. Oh my God, 49 is more expensive than 9. They don't even think that it may save me 5 hours a month, and 5 hours a month is worth more. Is worth more than $40 for me. So I'm not fighting for that market, because I realize that when I try to sell to that market, the first thing I get is, oh yeah, but the other guys is free. What can I do? Yeah, but I bring that. I don't want even to start explaining the value I bring, because it's too time consuming for $20. So
Right. I think I'm seeing a lot of tweets in response to that. I think that that's providing some really interesting food for thought for our community. So I have a question that came in from Antonio. Shout out to Antonio. Thank you for joining us this week. He wants to know. So now we have Facebook Live, right? What do you see the role of Facebook Live to support customers, bring in value? How is this fitting in with our spend?
I'm going to be totally direct and transparent with that. I've never been very big into the live stuff. And the reason is simple. I'm a business owner. I run my ads. I run my financials. I run my HR. I hire people. I direct the product. I have no time to run live events and live videos on social media. I'd love to hire someone and get an additional $8,000 to hire a top-notch community manager who will do very fun live stuff for me. But right now, those $8,000 are invested in another engineer to build a product and not into live stuff. We're all facing the same thing, right? We all have priorities and limited resources, and whether you're making 10K a month, 100K a month, 1 million a month, or 10 million a month, you have limited resources. You have to set priorities, and you can't do everything.
Yep, very honest answer. Thank you for that. So I have a question here, moving into the funnel discussion that we had from Stacy. Stacy, thanks so much. She says, regarding you're talking about tracking the full funnel, do you track all the way down to an advocate action, or are you stopping at a sale as the bottom?
Yeah, a sale. I don't track. When you say advocate action, you're referring to someone who would refer you, share you, comment about you, do something about you.
I believe so.
Yeah, I don't track that as in the framework of an ad. I don't even look at those metrics. The problem is you get so many metrics. You can track so many things. So it's the same thing. Measuring, analytics, and tracking. You got to go down to track a very few things, like 1, 2 metrics, 3 metrics max, and you got to make sure that when you compare one campaign with each other or one marketing effort with another marketing effort, you have sufficiently few metrics so you can actually compare them to each other. Because if you start following too many metrics, then you will see that when you move from one channel to another, oh my God, this metrics exists here but not there. How am I going to compare them? So I always try to get, to be KISS, keep it simple, stupid.
How do you decide which metrics? So not just for your business, but let's take this big. Say, we have someone tuning in here. How should they be figuring out which of those, say, 2 or 3 metrics out of that huge pot they should be considering?
Well, that's also something you have to decide on a case-by-case basis. But if we try to cover the entire business industry, I mean, like, a lead will always be a lead. Obviously, some leads will have a different value than other leads, and every business has to learn that, like, oh my God, the leads I get with my free tool on that are converting at a much higher rate than the lead I get through my newsletter, or the lead I get through my, please download my PDF with 3 kitten pictures on that. So depending on the kind of lead, of course, you can have a different conversion rate into clients and then different value to those leads. But the cost per lead is probably the best one, because leads are low-hanging fruits in the Facebook ad game, where clients are like high-hanging fruit. They're hard to get. It's hard to convert. For most businesses, it's hard to directly convert a client with Facebook ads. It's much easier to convert a lead, and then take them on your email nurturing, whatever you do after that.
Right.
So the lead, I think, it's the lowest common denominator of Facebook ad campaign tracking.
Yeah. So Christy has a question here. I think it's a good follow-up, and thanks so much for joining us today, Christy. She says, what is the best way to track leads all the way through the funnel?
Well, number one, that's a point I had in the back of my mind when I started the thing, is you got to learn the basic of Facebook ads, right? You got to know and understand the basic, and having Facebook pixel and conversion pixel and retargeting pixel. I mean, it's only one pixel now, but you still have to define the events that are happening when someone signs up for a newsletter, signs up for your tool, signs up for something, and becomes a lead. Once you have that in place, then the native tools are doing all you need. I mean, you can rely on Facebook, the Ads Manager or Power Editor if you're super geeky. But I've never been geeky enough to use Power Editor in a correct manner. You got everything you need in there. I mean, it will track up until the end, up until the conversion into a client. So Facebook provides all the tools you need. Then, from a visualization perspective, I use Adespresso, as I said, because it provides me a cleaner and easier way to visualize that funnel. But you can rebuild that funnel using Ads Manager and even their Excel download. Oh, you got a lovely cat on your head.
I do. And coming. Hey, Luna. Thank you. All right, never a dull moment. So this leads in, great question here from Lisa. Lisa, thank you so much for tweeting this in. So as you know, people, we have a lot of newbies on this chat to Facebook ads. So she says, what is the best resource for people to learn more about building the best Facebook audience ads?
Learn more about the best Facebook audience ads.
What are your go-to places?
Well, I have 2 go-to places. Well, we have a couple of blog posts about Facebook ads on our blog, but you can check it out. But
okay, great.
The other 2 go-to places I have is John Loomer, JONLOOMER, is a good friend, and he's been a Facebook ad expert for a long time, and he also has paid membership club, but it's not for beginners. Well, I think it's for more advanced people, because you got to spend the time learning the stuff. And Adespresso has a great blog on Facebook ads as well. But getting back to the question itself, which is how do you build an audience? So number one, you don't build an audience. You build your audience, and then you can retarget it. But that takes building a big audience, and I totally understand. Not everybody has that, but let's take an example. For example, let's say you have 10,000 visitors per month, and you have done you track conversion on your blog using Google Analytics, and again, something else you have to learn, and that's very complicated, I have to admit as well. But you have that in place, and you realize that a blog post, it's only 10K, it's not big, but it's cool enough, and you realize that one blog post in there, one page is converting like a much higher than the other stuff of your site. Then maybe just creating traffic to that blog post, using the right targeting on Facebook, will grow your conversion. So you can use what you have organically on your site already and kind of scale that using Facebook ads. That's one example. Another example, when you want, so that's the retargeting side, right? So it's your traffic you have to grow before you can retarget on Facebook. Then there's nothing to do on Facebook. Your traffic is creating the retargeting. The lookalike audience on your traffic is also a good thing to start, at least to try, because lookalike gives you a much broader reach, and it tends to work pretty well. and to be pretty accurate. And then it's the question is, what targeting can I use? I only know the targeting that pertains to my industry. It's very hard for me to give an answer for what pertains to other people's industry. What
Right.
I know though is you can find anything on Facebook, any industry, any group, any local, anything. If you dig a little bit for an hour or so, you'll find those targetings and you'll be able to test them against each other and decide eventually, okay, this one worked, this one didn't work. So it takes some time. My big advice on that is either take the time to learn, so invest in yourself to learn that if that's something that excites you and that you find fun. Obviously, if you find it not fun at all and boring, don't invest your time in learning that, but hire someone who had invested the time and who will
Hmm.
help with their knowledge and expertise to do that for you. Because if you don't invest the time, you don't have the skill and expertise, you're going to waste your time and you're going to waste a lot of money, and it's much better to pay someone to do that for you.
So I have a question here from Kathy. She says, can you give us some examples of Facebook campaigns that you see that have been effective?
Example of campaigns that have been effective. Well, it's let me see. I'm going to share my screen with you one time because I think this one's pretty cool. So you will have to pardon me because the screenshots are not very big, but I think they will be big enough. Okay, here it is. So it's in French again, but you'll see the cost per conversion and stuff. This is what I pay for a lead and what I pay for a client when I retarget my pricing page. So for when I retarget my pricing page, I pay $1 per lead and almost $23 per client. This is awesome, but it's my pricing page. So we're talking hot leads, okay? We're not warm, not cold. This is what I get for lead $4.25 and $95 per client when I retarget my blog post. And remember, this is when I was retargeting all my blog with the same ad, which, as you can see as in the visual, was my logo going to my homepage. And this is when I do cold targeting, like that's a campaign I've done for Brazil. And look, I had 246 signups and one client, and the client cost me $1,400. So thank
Hmm.
God, since then I got other clients, and the cost went down to like 350 or 400. But still, it shows you that my Facebook ads goes for $400 per client to $22 per client. So answering your question is very difficult because it really depends. It depends so much on what you do. So if I take this, if you retarget your pricing page, you're gonna do a blast. But the problem is the traffic is limited.
Hmm.
It doesn't scale very much because the traffic on my Facebook page is if I spend $10 a month, I'm already exhausting my audience. You know what I mean? It's they're already seeing me too much because $10 a day, sorry, $10 a day for people who visit my pricing page, they will see my ad too often. It's too much money, so I probably gotta get it to like $5 a day. So it's small. It's great. It's doing great, but it's very small. So
Interesting.
to answer your question, you have to do you basically have to do a mix of a lot of things that are doing incredibly well, that are incredibly cheap and incredibly effective, and things that are a little less effective, a little less great and cheap, but are scaling a little bit more. And it's a mix that will tell you in the end that your dollar invested was good. But it's the kind of stuff I can do. We could do one-on-one. It's very hard to give
Right. Right.
boilerplate advice about what works and what doesn't work.
Well, I have one last question because we're just about at the top of the hour. And I think Bryan is going to come back on in just a second. But what is the thing that drives the thing that people should never ever do when doing Facebook ads? You mentioned mobile optimization, but
Yeah.
what is your other big no-no?
Well, the big no-no is to launch something and let it run, and don't optimize. Don't check it out.
Mm.
Don't have that passion for details and say what's that targeting okay? Is that ad looking good? oh, I didn't A/B test the visual. Let's show that visual to a friend and see if he thinks it's good. But your visuals
Yeah,
suck, my friend. You should change it. So
yeah.
don't assume you're good. Don't assume your targeting is set right. Don't assume your ad is going to run for 2 weeks and it's going to be okay. It's testing, trying, making sure it's okay, and learning. I mean, not learning is the biggest mistake you can make. Like in everything else, marketing, online marketing, right? You've got to learn so much, but here too. So.
Well, thank you so much. Really, this has been incredibly informative. Over to you, Bryan.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Emeric. We talked to you right up until the last second. So just give us a quick place to find you and your software.
Yeah, so you can find my software at www.agorapulse, agorapulse.com, and you can find me at EERNOULT. I think you have my Twitter handle at the bottom of my face. And yeah, and the only connection between my tool and Facebook ads is that we synchronize comments on the ads, so we allow you to reply to comments you get on your ads. And it's also a big mistake people don't always do is, please, when you do ads in the newsfeed on Facebook, you'll get people commenting on them, asking questions, or saying you suck. You got to manage those. You can't let them without a response. So.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. As you can tell, we could keep going on forever because
Oh, yeah.
stuff is pretty technical. And so thank you, everybody out there, for driving a great conversation, some great questions. Next week on Monday, we have Nick Westergaard. He wrote a book called Brand Driven Digital. Is Your Brand Stuck? And so we're going to be talking about his book. He's been a friend for a long time, and I'm really excited about his new book. So next Monday at noon, same time each week, Pacific Standard Time, obviously different time in time zones. But thank you once again, Emeric. Really appreciate it. To everyone else out there, cheers. Thank you so much, and we will see you again next Monday.
See you. Thank you. It was fun.